Hello and welcome to the National Museum of the Marine Corps' World War I Gallery. I'm Gwenn Adams, the Public Affairs Chief here at the museum. And the tour I'm going to give you is very different than what our docents would give you, because what I'm going to tell you about today is the behind the scenes of getting this gallery up and running. If you have questions during all of this, please just let us know and we'll answer them to the very best of our ability. Now, I do want to point out the murals in the museum have all been hand-painted by the same person, and he is a Vietnam era Marine who has painstakingly painted all of these murals here in the museum. As we go around the corner, we come into Bela Wood. Bela Wood is a pivotal battle for the Marine Corps, and we had to get it just right. So the production company, Wood and Robin, sent a scout out to find some place to film so that we didn't have to take an entire crew all the way to Belleau. They found a wheat field in Bealton, Virginia, and paid the farmer for his crop of wheat that year, and that's where we filmed. Before starting, Wood and Robin hired 3 actors to do the speaking roles in the movie. They never got to say a word because the Marines absolutely took over. It's what they know. The crew was out in the wheat field planting poppies before we started. It rained so hard during the shoot that the mud was literally sucking the boots off of our feet. But the movie turned out perfect. When we opened this gallery, we invited the superintendent of the cemetery at Belleau to come and see the gallery. He brought his wife and son, who are both French. When his son saw the movie, he said, "I know where that is, I know where that is," because he thought we had gone to Belleau to film. Now, as we move forward, we find Floyd Gibbons. Floyd Gibbons was a war correspondent and largely responsible for making the Marines seem like we single-handedly won the battle at Belleau. And he also is responsible for making the Germans' name for us, Teufelhunden, or devil dog, so popular because it was in his dispatches. His dedication to getting those dispatches out is what let the world know what the Marines did at Belleau. Now, as we move on over here, we have our tin Lizzie. Now, obviously, this looks like a scene from World War I. And it is. Could have easily happened anywhere during World War I battles. But what we're showing here is a scene that also happened to these 3 Marines in Iraq in 2006. Sergeant Tack and Sergeant Wangler and Sergeant Maldonado were all with 3-6. On March 18th, 2006, Sergeant Maldonado's outpost got a call that there was suspicious activity in the area of Sergeant Tack and Sergeant Wangler's area, and they sent a patrol out. At the same time, there was a bomb-laden vehicle approaching the building that Tack and Wangler were in. Tack was on the roof as the duty and first saw the vehicle. He fired on the vehicle, they fired back and caught him in the femoral artery. Sergeant Wangler was the first Marine on the roof. pulled tack to safety, and used his belt as a tourniquet to save Tack's life. Sergeant Maldonado, another Marine, and 2 Iraqi soldiers were coming in a Humvee, and they medevaced Tack and an Iraqi soldier back to Outpost Dunlap and got them on a barge across the Euphrates so that they could receive the medical attention they needed. What we're showing here is that while the technology changes, the vehicles change, the uniforms, the terrain, Marines never change. We're the same yesterday, today, and we will be well into the future. Now, moving along, we come into the area where we talk about the weapons of war. We do this in every gallery because it's important that we understand how the weaponry changes and the difference between what our enemies have and what we are using. One of the key pieces in this case is the Maxim machine gun. There aren't very many of those still in existence, and we're pretty proud to have this in our collection. One of the other things that always amazes me about the weapons of war cases is that I'll be giving a tour to a school group, and those kids know every single weapon in this case. I don't know every single weapon in this case, so I ask them, how do you know? Games such as Call of Duty. So I guess the video games do have some advantages because they're teaching them some history. This cast figure in his gas mask is Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Workman. Now, we could have just put any kind of figure there, but we wanted to make it as realistic as possible. So we cast Staff Sergeant Workman. Even though you'll never see his face, we know that it's real, and we know that he's standing just like a Marine would have stood and held their weapon at that time. Behind Staff Sergeant Workman is no man's land. No man's land during the war was absolutely a place no one wanted to go. But what we've done here is put in some periscopes so that you can look through and see what the Marines would have seen when they looked up over that protective wall. It gives you a little better understanding of what it might have been like for them. Now, moving along, as the war is winding down, we have our Liberty truck over here. And our restorations team did most of the work restoring this truck. In fact, one of them even sewed the canvases that cover the top and the cab of the truck. When we put this vehicle in place, it was in pristine, spotless condition, lovingly restored, but it wouldn't look right in the gallery to be sitting here like that, because that's not the way we would have seen it during the war. So we dirtied it up, putting mud on the tires. In fact, the day before we opened this gallery, I was walking through and there's someone sitting here painting axle grease onto the axles and the bearings, because we want everything to look as authentic as possible so that our visitors get an understanding of what the Marines experienced and what our history is really like. We look forward to being able to welcome you back to the museum. We also would like to answer any questions you have, so make sure you post them. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.